we go. Welcome to This Week in Baseball Player Profiles as we profile head coach from Neosho, Steve Murry. Welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me, man.
So we're going to go over a few questions here and discuss your program and the league and advice for players. So the first question I have for you, when did you get started in baseball?
Well, obviously I played when I was very, very young. Loved it playing, wasn't good enough to go pro. Ended up getting into the coaching clear back in 1983, I think, at Fort Hays State University. I was lucky enough to stay on as a graduate assistant, and then applied for a job here at Neosho, and I'd never even heard of the school, even though I was in Kansas, and they were dumb enough to give me the job, and I've been here ever since.
So what position did you play in college?
I was actually at JUCO. I was a shortstop pitcher, and then when I went to Fort Hays, I ended up being a third baseman pitcher.
Well, I know as a player, you're a three-time academic All-American. You also are three-time All-Conference player?
Yep.
Okay. Yep. So what got you into coaching?
Well, it was one of those deals where I just didn't want to get out of the game. I mean, I love the game so much. And, eventually they take your jersey from you and tell you you're not good enough to play anymore. And I thought, how can I stay in this game? And as you know, coaching just kind of fills that vibe. And I truly love coaching beyond belief, even maybe more so than a player, because you get to impact people. And I've just never thought about anything else since I got into it.
Well, in the 35 years you've been at Neosho, you have 1,090 wins. You've been 3 times to the World Series, conference champs 4 times, 3 times coach of the year, and you also have 59 players drafted. That's pretty impressive resume.
Well, I appreciate that, but you surround yourself with good people, and sometimes good things happen.
Well, you've done a great job at that. Tell us about Neosho overall.
Well, Neosho is a small school in southeast Kansas. It was kind of funny when I first came. It was basically called Neosho County. And again, I'd never even heard of it, and I'd been in the state for quite a while. And when I got here, the people were super nice, but they didn't know a whole lot about athletics, meaning we didn't even have a weight room when I got here. And, so that was one of my first things that I wanted to get done. And the president just kind of looked at me like, what do you need a weight room for, and this and that. And then all of a sudden we started to have some success, and they were a lot more willing to help out in the facility type area. And, we've raised a ton of money over the years, and we've put turf on the field, and now we have one of the nicer facilities around. And, we've got a locker room, we've got an indoor, we've got all the things that, a lot of schools have already had. And yet we were just getting. So we're very pleased with how far we've come. I feel like eventually when I leave, I'll leave this place in a better place than I found it. And it's been fun, been a great ride all along the way.
So tell us about your team this year.
Yeah, well, I would love to be able to do that. No more than we have seen these kids. We're going to really hit it. I think we'll hit very, very well. Defense is going to be a key because we need to learn to pick it up. But we have a lot of kids that when we recruited them, you asked what position, and they said batter. And, I kind of feel like that's how they were brought up. But our pitching is going to be the key question. We have some dudes that are okay on the mound. We have Taylor Parrott, who's really good on the mound, but we've got a lot of unknowns. And if you really get down to it, since COVID's hit, some of these kids didn't even get their senior year of high school. So we have zero idea of how they're going to react when they come into a real collegiate game. But, I'm willing to do it, but we've got some development to do in the pitching arena.
And you brought up COVID. That was going to be my next question. How are you, and I know I've talked to multiple colleges, how are you guys going to handle this extra year that you've been granted with players?
Well, it's now 2. It's right. 2 extra years. And that's caused a major logjam. Unfortunately, it's going to be the end of some careers for some baseball players, because now some of those kids that you may have developed, you just don't have a roster spot for. And that's at every level, whether it's 4-year, JUCO, NAIA, Division II, it doesn't matter. We added 3 roster spots this year to coincide with some kids that were coming back. So we're sitting at 36, which is the largest team I've ever had. We've signed 12 for next year. So we've got to get rid of, at least 12 dudes that we have this year. And yet, if you look at our roster, I think it says 32 of the 36 are freshmen, but they're really not freshmen, meaning they've already been granted a year here, a year there, and some of them redshirted and blah, blah, blah. So it's kind of a jugglement. I try to let Coach Gilner deal with that and tell him these are the numbers that we need. You make it happen. But again, we've got a third baseman this year that's signed at Auburn. He's going to have used 0 eligibility by the time he gets there. We have another kid that signed at Wichita State. He's going to have used 0 eligibility when he gets there. Our kid that's signing at Houston, he's going to have 0 eligibility when he gets there. So, we've got about 5 kids, I think 4 or 5 kids that have to move on. They're in their 3rd year of college. But other than that, it's kind of figure it out. What are we going to do with you?
Right.
What's in your best interest?
Well, with that being said, Region 6, I know firsthand it's very, very tough. It's some of the best baseball in the country when it comes to JUCO ball. What does it take, not only just to get out of the Eastern side conference to make the playoffs, but what does it take to get out of the Region 6 tournament to go to the World Series?
You got to get hot, and you got to be playing good baseball. I've taken the best team to the pre-World Series tournament and lost, and I've taken maybe one of the worst teams to the preseason or pre-JUCO and won. You got to get hot at the right time. And, the unfortunate thing is this year there's many, many factors besides just getting hot. And in the world we live in, hey, do kids still want to be playing in May? You've had a son go through it. It's a grind. I understand that. It's 100% grind, but you've got to have attitude, and you've got to want to delay summer ball or delay a summer job and keep playing. And that's extremely important that you have the right team chemistry when you get to that time of year. Well,
like I said, you've been there 3 times to the World Series. What did it take for those teams? Because like I said, that Region 6 tournament is really tough. What did it take, do you think, for those guys? Like you said, they came together, got hot, but is there any one thing that they did to get them going?
I mean, you got to have what I call baseball players. Those are guys that want to get dirty. They're not the front runners. They don't have to have the lead. They're the guys that are just going to keep fighting you the whole time. I've noticed that all 3 of those teams had that attitude. And in 35 years, I've seen different attitudes. You got the guys that once they get up front, they're not going to lose. But you also have the guys that once they get behind, they're not the comeback type kids. Those 3 teams literally had the spunk to just keep fighting you till the last out, period.
I spoke to Coach Price the other day and Coach Finelli. I've interviewed them the last couple of days. They feel that this year's baseball might be the best it's going to be. It's been in a long time. Do you feel it's going to be the same way in the JUCO with all the kids being able to come back?
Oh, I think it's going to be incredible. I know that there's some teams with dudes that should have been drafted last year if it had been a full draft, or were Division I kids that ended up not going. I think the JUCOs are going to be absolutely loaded. I think there's some 4-years that are going to be absolutely loaded. But it's going to be fun. And, then now the whole thing comes down to is, do you have a full team to compete that day? You're going to see some butt whippings because there's going to be a team that's only going to bring 13 kids due to COVID or something. And there's going to be some lopsided scores. But by the same token, hopefully by tournament time, everybody's healthy and everybody's playing, and it should make for an exciting year.
Good. So speaking of the World Series again, do you have any one memory of a World Series that you've been to?
It's kind of funny. those are some of my best memories, other than having your own kids or what have you, or grandkids in my case. But it is an exciting time when you get to the World Series, simply because they treat you like basically you're a pro guy, and everybody kind of idolizes those teams that are there, and so you're treated like royalty, and at the same time you're getting to play against the nation's best teams. And there's a lot of media coverage and what have you, social media and regular media and TV and what have you, and it's just a lot of fun everywhere you go, whether it's a restaurant or whoever. That town knows exactly who you are and when you play, and they'll jump on your back and get behind you, and it's just very, very fun to be at that place.
Okay. Out of the 59 guys you've had that made it, that have been drafted, who are some of the top guys that you coach? I know Matt Strom's one. With the Padres, right. Who else have you had that you coached?
Well, right now we have 3 big leaguers. Andy Young is with the Arizona Diamondbacks on the big league club. David Bodie's with the Chicago Cubs on the big league club, and Matt Strom's with the Padres on the big league club. So obviously those 3 stand out, and get the most follows and what have you. But some of our minor league guys were extremely good, and some of them didn't make it. They're already done. There's other guys that, when Major League Baseball cut out some of the minor leagues, they're going to have to rework it through the independent leagues or whatever. And Briley Ware was a 3-time a Triple Crown winner, and he ended up getting released. So it's never a guarantee, regardless of how good you are. And the work ethic is absolutely inclusive in the package that you must have to get to the next level.
So when you guys are out recruiting, what do you look for in a recruit?
We look for high character guys. We also look for guys that are passionate about the game. A lot of times you get the ultra talented dude, but he doesn't have good work ethic. Dude, he's not going to make it in this program. We want the guy he's pretty talented, but he wants to work his butt off, and doesn't think the game owes him something, because the game owes you nothing. It can end tomorrow for you. But if you continue to battle, that's who we want.
Okay. Can you give me some advice to parents?
Parents need to support their kids, and not live and die if the kid goes 0 for 4 today. Don't get on your kid because he went 0 for 4. You haven't been your best in your job every single day either. But we've got to encourage them. We've got to support them. And we've been lucky over my 35 years. We have parents that just absolutely love the game of baseball, and they're highly supportive of their kids. We had no fans all fall, and yet I'd see parents sneaking in the parking lot and hiding behind trees and what have you. That's the kind of parents I like. You know what I mean? Like, give me the people that are highly supportive of their kids, but yet not vindictive as it's the coach's fault or it's another player's fault. Be a realist. That's the whole key. You teach lessons, you do that kind of thing. You got parents that have 8-year-old kids that are already making them the next Ken Griffey Jr. And, they don't even have their man muscles yet. Let them be an 8-year-old, let them get the lessons, let them grow some passion, and then let's go from there.
Okay. What do you have for high school kids that are going into high school now?
Heading into high school, it's not good enough to be the best in your program. It's not good enough to be the best in the state. You're never going to be good enough, so keep working. And I think that's what a lot of kids have a hard time understanding is, they were all state as a junior, so they kind of try to rest on those laurels. Dude, you got to keep going. You got to keep getting better and better and better. We have tons of high school all-state kids in this program that ended up not being a guy for us. And it's simply because there's somebody that outworked them somewhere or out-talented them somewhere. So it's a game you can never be too good in. Just keep going.
Okay, that's some good advice. So for the class of 21 and 22, what advice could you give to those young men?
Stick to the course and understand it is COVID. We get it. We're on hold recruiting right now, as are most schools in the country. But you know what? That doesn't mean your work needs to stop. If you keep going and you're good enough, you will find a place, period. So don't feel sorry for yourself, because no one's going to feel sorry for you except your mom and your grandma. So you need to keep working and, make sure someone can't tell you no.
Okay. What hobbies outside of baseball do you have if you have time?
You know, it's funny because family is my biggest deal. I absolutely love grandkids and what have you. And then a weird hobby, because I'll turn 60 at the end of this month, is I still play Call of Duty. So when my wife goes to bed, I play Call of Duty for a couple hours, and that's just kind of a release. I can start shooting people and not get arrested for it.
Do your players know this about you?
Oh yeah, they do. I give them crap all the time because I'm a higher prestige or I've got more gold guns or whatever, and they look at me like, "You're a weirdo, dude. You're like 60. You should be in a whole book film."
Oh,
But yeah,
that's
it's
funny.
fun.
It's funny you said that because all I play is MLB The Show.
There you go.
Yeah,
And
everybody wants to play me too.
that's what I'm saying. I'm not embarrassed.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, I'm bored. And everybody else is asleep. I'm going to go do something.
Right. Okay, so last question here. Any additional advice that you can give to players out there?
The biggest thing I would tell kids is this: just keep playing. Play as long as you can. Play with passion every single time. Don't sit and feel sorry for yourself. Get better. If you go for 4 and make 2 errors today, go take some ground balls, go to the cage and be prepared for tomorrow. Don't let today's performance enhance what you do tomorrow. Get better. And by the same token, the reverse is true too. If you go 4 for 4 today, don't rest on that tomorrow, because you could easily go for 4 case. So every day's a new day, and treat it as such.
Well, Coach Murry, I appreciate you taking some time out of your day today to visit the show. I wish your team and your family and everybody the best of luck this year, and hope you guys do well.
I appreciate it. Stay safe, and thanks for having me on, man.
Well, that concludes this week in Baseball Player Profiles with head coach from Neosho, Steve Murry. Thank you again. If you like the show, please hit that subscribe button. Thank you.